Hello everyone! Just a heads up, today's video is going to be pretty niche and nerdy. While reading War of the Scaleborn, I felt like the battles were a little bit overwhelming at times, and I had difficulty visualizing what kind of units were there, who were the new dragons, what were the names, what were the connections, what did it actually do to the story. So to make it easier for myself, I decided to just go through the book and list it all. Page by page, write any new names and units compositions that I could find. So that information I'm going to be sharing today, my detailed findings from the book. I'm hoping that I got everything and that it's 100% accurate, but I'm sure that I missed some things. But yeah, just keep in mind, I imagine that there's going to be like one other person out there who's going to be like, yo, this was really cool to read about. For everybody else, I'm sorry, but sometimes, you gotta indulge yourself a little bit. Let's get started, shall we? As we have about 64 new draconic names to go through and around 20 factions and divisions. Starting on the dragon side, we have the Red Dragonflight, led by Alexstrasza the Lifebinder, queen of all the dragons. Her units are called the Ruby Flamebringers and the Heartguard. Sareerstras is her major domo. Tyrannistras is her first consort and confidant. You might remember seeing their skull within Ironforge. Talinstras is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and then transformed. So there's a bunch of whelplings, right? The first generation, those eggs were taken, infused with order magic, and they remember this. They remember being stolen away. They remember what it felt like to be transformed, body, mind, and soul. That's a big catalyst of the story. These kids are part of that group, so they were primal dragon eggs, and they were transformed into ordered dragons. Unlike his sister, he hates what they have done to him, and eventually sides with Viranov and the Primalist, seeing her as some kind of mother figure, not before gathering others to his side and orchestrating some sabotage from within the flight, like bringing down barriers that they had erected. When Leilestrazza gets captured by the Jaran, he just flies away and leaves her to her fate. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon, and in the case of Talinstras, he gets an apology. He never expected that to happen. He and Viranov had never expected the Queen to be able to mid-fault. Now, the first boon requested is an impossible one. They're not going to release Viranov, so instead, Talinstras asks for help with finding their parents. Leilestrazza is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and then transformed. Unlike her brother Talinstras, she is quite happy with the new way of life, rising to such ranks that she's already being compared to the Dragon Queen herself. Her loyalty is everlasting, as she becomes a badass leader of some Jaran hunting parties. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. Leilestrazza's request breaks the Queen's heart, as she wants to say goodbye to her brother. Mestras follows Leilestrazza like a shadow and is sworn to protect her. As her longtime friend, he eventually becomes her second-in-command, joining the assaults on the Jaran and delivering crushing blows to Igira's forces. Elistrazza is mentioned as being captured together with Leilestrazza. Kristalstras is the flight leader of the so-called Ruby Flamebringers, a powerful brute who had killed more Primalists than Virak had numbers for. Yimistrazza is the flight leader of the Heartguard, together with Bojans. I imagine that Bojans is a Draconid, together with Captain Jaran, who is still captain to this day. The Blue Dragonflight is led by Malygos the Spellweaver. His units are called Spell Scales and Arcane Wardens. Sindragosa is his mate. Rygos is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. A dear and close friend of Leilestrazza, often at odds with Talinstras thanks to his sharp tongue and quick wit. They're captured with Leilestrazza by the Jaran. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. Rygos asks for access to the restricted sections of their archives. Siragosa is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. She sided with Talinstras and helps with the sabotage from within their flights. Her actions were so vile that the Blue Flight refused to mention her name. With age, she had a change of heart though, and saves the lives of many, warning them about secret tunnels which the Primalists were planning to use to overwhelm the forces, saving prisoners like Leilestrazza from the Jaran. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. She gets, under Sindragosa's watchful eye, a private study within the Azure Archives, where the Blue was content to spend her days with her snout buried in a book. Elagos helps with sabotage from within the flights, and then there's mention of an Elagosa, which I'm not sure if it's a typo or if there are two dragons with a very similar name. Either way, Elagosa also intends to aid the Primalists. Telegosa, Miragosa, and Irmos, which I assume to be a blue dragon, are all former primal dragon eggs taken from the wilds and transformed. Adugos joins Leilestrazza in their battle against the Jaran. Beragos is the arch library of the Azure Archives, responsible for engineering illusion magics which they use to trick entire Primalist legions. Vadrugosa is a flight leader. The Green Dragonflight is led by Ysera the Dreamer. Her units are called the Verdant Preservers. Vavira is her major domo. A Tyrannus is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. A dear and close friend of Leylastraza, captured together by the Jaran. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. A Tyrannus wants to become a guardian of the dream. Philora also joins Leylastraza in the battle against the Jaran. Ivarus helps with sabotage from within their flights, and Zetanus tried to destroy a dream portal. The Bronze Dragonflight is led by Nosdormu the Timeless One. His units are called Temporal Guardians and Chrono Magi. Soridormi is his consort. Dokeldormu is captured together with Leylastraza by the Jaran. Xenodormu is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. Nalisdormu is also a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. He sides with Talinstras and helps with the sabotage from within their flights. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. He gets to travel the time ways with the best. And then Reisendormu acts as a double agent for the Primalists and is responsible for the fall of the Veiled Ossuary. The Black Dragonflight is led by Nelfarion the Earth Warder. His units are the Shadow Scales, Iron Scales, Onyx Reavers, Earthen Bulwark, Obsidian Guard, and the Dragfear. There might have been more, I might have missed some, but don't forget that Nelfarion, he was really the one that was planning for the war, right? Nalaxa is his major domo. Umbrenian is one of Nelfarion's most trusted scale-crafters and the principal architect of the Obsidian Citadel. Kalsia is one of Nelfarion's most trusted scale-crafters and leader of the Scalesmiths. Vembrion is a flight leader, like Umbrenion and Kalsia, an embattled one-eyed senior of the Obsidian Citadel's guard. Eknion is the flight leader of the Shadow Scales, a fledgling military wing dedicated to gathering intel on the enemy. Ikronia is the sister of Iridikron, but she regrets signing up and transforming into a dragon. She tried to return to her brother, even though there was always a price to pay with him. Then she spends a lot of years attacking villages with Razagev, pretending like it's the Black Dragonflight that's the hostile one. Eventually, she is captured by the Black Dragonflight, but manages to escape when Razagev attacks. Sadly for her though, Razagev feels no love or loyalty towards this Black Dragon, strikes her down, despite her telling Razagev that Nelfarion is using the glove to control the Dragfear forces. Endymion and Sandesia are some of Ikronia's guards while she's captured. Iknion is a big, badder dragon that shows up at Ikronia's prison. They need everybody on the battlefield as Razagev is on the attack. So the wounded dragon takes over from the guards as they join the fight. His wounds are so great though that life ebbs away, which allows Ikronia to escape. Livia is the senior flight leader in Aberus and the Dragfear experiments. Levarian is responsible for slaying Oxorio's mate at Cinderfrost Vale, and then went talon to talon with the Grand Matriarch herself. He lost his eye for the trouble, but did get promoted by Nelfarion to Flight Commander of the Flight. Then falls during the epic battle in Veldraken. Garion is a flight master that orders the Dragfear around, a veteran of the battle against Razagev, which they call the Battle of Storm Sunder Crater. He leads a regiment of Nelfarion's Iron Scales and takes over from Levarion as Levarion fell in battle. Telion and Zorestia lead wing units and get ordered by Garion. Stoltria takes down Vitelanov, one of Viranov's most trusted lieutenants, and takes command of the Earthen Bulwarks as well as the Onyx Reavers. Obezion is a primal dragon egg, taken from the wilds and then transformed, the twin of Ravia. He can't believe that Talinstras would want to side with the enemy and actively stand against him. They join Leylastraza with those Jaran Huns. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. He is promised by Nelfarion to be taken under his wing. Ravia is a primal dragon egg taken from the wilds and transformed. The twin of Obezion refuses to join with Talistras and instead joins Leylastraza with those Jaran Huns. In the end, the Dragon Queen offers these kids a boon. She is also promised by Nelfarion to be taken under his wing. Azarion helps with sabotage from within the flights. Lildora leaks assassination plans of the Shadow Scales, who were planning to take out Mithras, a primal dragon chosen by Viranov as her third in command. Hemetian and Sabria are guards at the Obsidian Citadel. Leylastraza's brother is eventually captured and imprisoned. Over the years, she gets to know all of her brother's guards, but she considers Sabria her friend. Serenian is the highest ranking item skill at the time, called upon by Neltharion to lead them at that epic battle in Feldrecken as the aspect flies off to confront Iridikron. Now, the Drakfir, you know those. There was Azuratel and the Obsidian Warders, Cindertrash and the Dark Talons, Sarkareth and the Ebon Scales, Viridia and the Healing Wings, and finally Emberfall with the Adamant Vigil. Which means we can move over to the other side, the Primal Incarnates and their primalistic forces. Virak the Blazing, Primal Incarnate of Fire, the one who discovered infusion and is a cousin of Alexstrasza. Let's give him the so-called Magma Talon as forces. One of his wing leaders is Viserion. Igniar was then one of the Primalist's greatest champions, and they tried to become the next Incarnate of Flame to replace Virak, as Virak was imprisoned, but they were unable to go through the ritual and keep their lives. Razagath the Storm Eater is the Primal Incarnate of Lightning, I suppose, of the Storm, the youngest to join this little band of Incarnates. She had troops like Gale Strikers and Windweavers. She is really good at making friends, so when imprisoned, quite a few flew out in her defense. Prime amongst them was Uxoria. She and her brood lived in the southern jungles, and unlike other primal dragons, who would often abandon their young when they grew into drakes, Uxoria encouraged her young to stay close to her lair, but they had higher survival rates, and they forged strong familiar bonds, meaning that she had quite the numbers, all strategically minded, and could work together like a flight. Her mate dies to Neltharion's wing leader Levarian. She herself dies when Neltharion snaps her neck. Iridikron the Stone-Scaled, Primal Incarnate of Earth, infused after Virak guided him to the source, whatever the thing is, and he is the brain behind the operations. He has forces called Rock Furies, but the Primalist also counted mortals and Terrasek amongst their ranks, Terrasek being the pre-evolution of the Draconids. Amongst his followers, there was Arava, one of Iridikron's favorites, as they were clever, bold and assertive, slain by Alexstrasza herself. Ryanog and Kagosnos were lieutenants of Rava. Zakarnos was the one who informed Iridikron of Tyr's demise. This was kept a secret for quite a while, but they overheard Neltharion's skillsmiths talking about it while they were building a statue of a titan. I kinda wonder if they let that information slip on purpose, but the book didn't say. Then finally, the last to join, that is Viranov the Frozen Heart, Primal Incarnate of Ice, with Ice Talon soldiers and Frost Scale warriors. Viranov had a lot of allies, especially for one who stayed neutral for so long. Guess the world of Warcraft will drive anyone to war if you give him enough time. At her side, there were Nalikrona, Rasvik, and Cesarnin. 3 primal dragons that at some point enter their lands as they're starving and their eggs are gone. They didn't mean to encroach upon her territory, but the other places, it would mean their death. The Frozen Heart's heart melts a little. She offers them a place to stay. Over the years, they would become like her adopted family. Rasvik would become indispensable to her, serving as her right wing, advisor and confidant. He and his mate were family. Their whelps looked at Viranov as their grand dame. Rasvik dubbed her the Frozen Heart in the wake of Alexstrasza's betrayal, and while they would fight, war brought them no joy. Vitelanov was one of Viranov's most trusted lieutenants, fell at Icewing Rift to the leader of the Heartsguard Bushans. Mithras was chosen by Viranov to be her third in command, and was the target of the assassination plans that were leaked, then slain in a 1v1 fight with Ysera. Igniar and Sazant are ancient primal dragons that throw their support with Viranov. Sazant would go on to become the wing leader of her Frost Scales. They were there when Viranov lost her 1v1 with Alexstrasza. And while some would have been glad to keep on fighting and follow the fanatic Iridikron to their demise, these merely followed Viranov. With her gone, they had no cause to keep on fighting, and so, if the Queen swore to honor the promise that she had made to Viranov, force none to be ordered, leave their kind in peace, they in turn would remain peaceful and even join them on the battlefield against the remaining primals. They would go on to play a critical role in the last stretches of the war. And it was Sazans that requested the Queen to pardon their children, that whole, giving them a boon thing. And then finally there's Vildrik, who will become the leader of the now fractured Ice Talons, dying in an attempt to replace Viranov as the next Primal Incarnate of Ice. For the last bit of the list, we have the Jaran. Most of them we've seen in-game. Warlord Sarga, Fleshrender, I think that's a new Jaran, but it could just be a title, Chargoth, and Igira the Cruel. Keepatir is of course mentioned, played a part at the start. Galagrond is also mentioned. Bojans, Drin and Ziskarn, there are, I imagine, Draconids, as they don't follow the regular naming schemes. You know Drin from Feldrecken. You met Ziskarn in Aberus, which just leaves us Bojans. And honestly, I kind of wish that we'd seen Bushions. But yeah, there you go. That's a list of units for who knows what reason. Maybe just for myself to try and get a clearer picture on how the battles went and what kind of names they've added. Now I understand that they didn't come up with Dragonflight until recently, so I could hardly expect them to have already story or mention these characters in the game, mention the War of the Scaleborn. But perhaps this is something they could add in the future. Or perhaps they could have said, added with Dragonflight itself. Dive a little bit into some of the heroics of this war. Explain how the Primalists have managed to stay together in the shadows for all those millennia. Maybe get some of the names in the game, some heroes of the past, some stories, some stay a while and listen. I'm curious. But hopefully, at least one of you found this entertaining. That means for now, thank you very much for watching, everyone. And until next time, see ya!